Alright, we got another schizoid question. For reference, it's the 14th of August 2026, because I'm super behind on everything. It's filming Friday, it's almost 9:30, so I'm gonna try and do this quick, but here's the question on my schizoid introversion video. From Atmospheric Death Metal. Hello, I really enjoy your videos and have a question for you. Are you uninterested in other people and relationships simply because you don't like them, or do you experience a psychological disconnection from the outside world, people, emotions, affection, work, and pleasure? A tricky one for me to get my head around. Okay, so are you uninterested in other people and relationships simply because you don't like them? As in, like, actively dislike them? Or just passively not particularly liking them? And then or do you experience a psychological disconnection from the outside world? People, blah, blah, blah. I would say the simple, short version to answer this question is I'm just uninterested. It's not that I particularly dislike individuals, I guess. Like, I'm not a huge fan of humanity. I am a bit of a misanthropist, and as much as I try to recover from that and do therapy, the world just keeps confirming my views overall. Like, you'll find occasionally a nice person, but, yeah, most of humanity I'm struggling with. Oh god, I'm so tired. I've been so busy. That's why I'm so behind on everything. But yeah, most of the time it's just like, I suppose, like, with the disconnection part of this question, like, it's sort of, this question is phrased as in, is it this or is it that? And I'm like, it's kind of, like, I don't want to pick one of these options. Like, I don't think it's either of these. It's not, do you know what I mean? It's not either of them. It's like, but you could say it's a disconnection because, like, depending on how you interpret it. Like, I don't necessarily perceive the disconnection all the time. Like, for me to perceive the disconnection, I would have to be dissociating and sort of have an awareness of dissociating. But with schizoid, like, it sort of gets deep. This question gets deep into, like, what is schizoid, like, what's caused it, what are the mechanisms of it, and so, like, I may not be consciously aware of all the, of the disconnection itself, like, because I went through a lot of my life sort of just being like, I don't like people. Maybe more like the first part of this, but also, like, I didn't understand people. I didn't understand the impulse to hang with people. Like, maybe when I was a kid, before the mental illness set in, because, like, I remember being more sociable as a kid, but then there was that period, like, puberty is when all, like, your brain starts making the connections and solidifying them, and, all the traumatic stuff that's happened to you and all the coping mechanisms that you've developed as a kid, they sort of turn into more strong personality patterns, I guess, and mine are of the type that it became what's considered by society to be disordered. Every now and then I go into a bit of a, like, is it really a disorder if I'm right? Because so many people are just, like, super frustrating. But, in other ways, like, I'm aware that I don't feel the things that other people feel. Now I'm aware of it. Before I sort of got that idea that, like, the way that I experience the world is not the normal way, it was a lot harder to understand why people get so, like, intensely passionate about things. Because, like, I've been able to have minor obsessions now and then, but I can't hold on to that feeling. Yeah, so, am I uninterested in other people and relationships? It's just because, like, I don't have that inherent interest. Like, there are some people, like, in terms of disliking people, or don't like them, disliking, like, I don't experience things like hate, really. Like, that's too much of an intense emotion. Like, if I'm going to have an intense emotion, it'll be, like, depression-related emotions. So, the sadness, the pain, the emptiness, those are the only really, really strong emotions I feel, and then the rest are sort of low-key. Sometimes, like, I probably am disconnected from the emotions, and I'm not fully aware of what I'm experiencing, but if I sit, like, I've been doing this psychology diary for a long time, which I think is based on CBT, but it's we modify it a bit. It's like I've got to see what emotion do I think I felt during the day and what was happening. Trouble is when I write that diary, like I think of certain words, but then it's more of an intellectual assessment of what I think I'm feeling and not necessarily like, am I actually feeling these things? I question it so much. But yeah, like so I don't experience intense feelings like hate, dislike. Like, yeah, like there's people I don't like. Most people I'm just kind of neutral, like they don't have any particular impact on me, they might pass through my day. I will do the interaction as appropriate, but then I don't really think about them again. It would have to be an interesting interaction to like really stick out in my brain. The dog getting cross because I really should go to bed. It's now 3 minutes past 9:30. Yeah, no, what do I feel about people? Like, this is a thing I have to think through consciously a lot of the time. There are people who are super annoying. There are people who have disappointed me, and so I will not trust them, and sort of get tired of having to interact with them. So if I have a choice, I will pull back. There are some people that you just have to interact with. That's just how life is. But yeah, so there are people I don't like, but in terms of like, this is a broader question of like people in general. Why am I uninterested? Oh, the word uninterested is there. Like, it's just uninterested. It's not, it's hard for me to think consciously, like, what is the lack of interest from? It's not that I dislike everyone. Like, for this to be a broad thing, I would have to dislike everyone to say that. And it's like the dislike is fairly normal. Everyone dislikes someone. Unless you have like one of those conditions that make you love everyone like a puppy. Which, do you experience a psychological disconnection from the outside world? Like, yeah, probably, but I'm not necessarily conscious of it a lot of the time. I keep to myself a lot. I've been trying to, like, I know I really dropped off the socializing over the past while. And I'm trying, like, if people want to hang out, I have been accepting. I've been trying not to do the pushing away thing, but I haven't really necessarily reached out to people unless it's like come up naturally in a conversation. But often when that happens, like, people don't take it seriously. Disconnection. Yeah, I don't really feel connected to people. Like, if people are talking to me online, which is the main way I socialize, it's kind of well known that like, at least in the appropriate circles, that schizoids are harder to distinguish online. Like, they appear to be normal online. So yeah, most of my socializing happens online. Socializing? But like, if any of those people stopped communicating for a period of time, like, I would probably just move on and forget about it. Probably, like, I don't know, would I miss any specific conversations? Because like, conversations can be fun, but it's like in the way of like a video game, like with the way I do my live streams where I'm just responding to chat and I don't particularly care who's in the chat, although I have tried to pay attention to the more interesting usernames. And there are some more interesting characters, but most of those chats, they go so fast that I can't even register who it is. And so it's not important who it is. The thing that's important is the message itself and the communication, going up as like a list of quests. So yeah, like, if people just sort of stop talking, I mean, probably that has happened and I just don't remember who it is. Disconnection from emotions, like, I don't consciously experience a lot of emotions. Some of them, like, because what I have is a disorder, I believe it's probably buried under there. And sometimes I can get a hint, like, do I feel something? Because I'll look at my behaviors, and my behaviors might indicate things like anxiety or excitement or whatever. But it's hard, like, it's very low key and it's hard for me to identify. So I probably am disconnected. And if you don't feel anything, then how can you feel interested in anyone? Disconnected from affection, I guess. Like, even with the floof, right? I know, like, I put in so much work into looking after him, training him, and basically my life kind of revolves around him. Like, he's helped me structure my time so much. In terms of affection, though, it's definitely not the same as what I had with Hope. Hope was my soul dog. Although I think that was built on quite a lot of trauma for the both of us. You know, we both went through our own shit and kind of supported each other through that. With Triton, it's different. Like, he's more like, how do I say it? More like a project. But I think, like, underneath that, I probably do care more than I think I feel. Disconnection from work, I'm not currently working. Disconnection from pleasure, yeah, I don't really enjoy a lot. I can be stimulated by things, like the hobbies that I do, I can be stimulated, but if you ask me, do I enjoy it? It's hard for me to say, like, I must enjoy it if I'm doing it, but I don't have the conscious experience of that. I kind of just do things because I'm here, I'm stuck here, I don't have a way out of life that I find acceptable according to my criteria. So I'm stuck here, and it's like, well, I've got to make the best of the time that I'm stuck here. Like, there's no point wallowing, I might as well try and find things to do that I don't hate. I don't know, like, does the fact that I'm intellectualizing all this stuff kind of give you an idea that I probably am disconnected and I don't feel the things that I'm supposed to, and so I have to do a lot of, like, that sort of logic stuff to be even like, what am I even feeling? And, like, looking at the things that I do. I mean, even to come up with my values, my psychologist had to help me reverse engineer them and sort of, like, go in the backwards way that you would usually do for someone else. Like, they have these cards that have your values and things on it, and usually what you would do, I think I understand the exercise. The normal way you would do it with someone is you find the cards with their values, and then you go and find, like, what's your life purpose? Like, what should you do with your values? How should you live your life according to these values? What my psychologist did was look at the things that I already do and then work backwards to figure out what my values are, because when she asked me, I couldn't, like, I couldn't think of it. I'm probably disconnected from myself. So yeah, like, why am I uninterested in people? I just don't have that more basic human experience. And I don't have that instinct, or, you know, it must be instinctive. We are a tribal species. We evolved in groups, and if you were on your own, you were probably dead. So, yeah, like, I'm just, whatever, like, you know, stuff about my life has caused me to disconnect from such a basic instinct. I don't know, like, does that answer the question? I don't know that, like, I don't think it's either of these things. Like, the lack of interest, I just am not interested, is what my conscious experience is. But you would go back and look at, like, you know, the trauma and the defense mechanisms that are likely there. Because quite, like, you know, I think, with my early childhood, so disabled brother, when he had his first seizures, parents wouldn't have known what the hell was going on. Went to hospital. I think me and my other brother left with my grandparents, so that's the primary caregivers have suddenly just disappeared. I was old enough to have learned what the pattern of life was, whereas my other brother wasn't. So yeah, like, your primary caregiver has disappeared, so you can't form healthy attachments, and you sort of get the idea, like, you know, that healthy attachment you thought you had could disappear at any moment, so why form attachments at all? It's probably, like, something that far back in my history. And then, you know, because he has an ongoing condition, there's no real chance to repair that. I was a high achiever, so I can be left alone to just manage on my own, apparently, despite being a child. Yeah, I didn't cause trouble. I didn't cause trouble at school. Yeah, so, like, there's a lot of things that probably led to this disconnection, because, you know, like, some kids play up. It's like, it is a cry for attention, like, not intentionally, but, the deeper biological things, like, the kid is like, where is this support I'm supposed to get as a human child? Yeah, but I, you know, had a lot of opportunities to be disconnected from the primary caregivers and, like, you know, other things with adults in my life not providing the support that I probably should have had as a child. I think it, like, goes back to that. So that's probably where it comes from, and then as a result, I don't feel the things that I'm supposed to feel, because you know, if that happens to you in your childhood, you realize, you know, on a very deep unconscious level, that you can't trust even the people who you should be able to trust the most. You know, they can just disappear, so you have to just do your own thing. Like, you end up with this huge emptiness, and I've spent so much of my life with that emptiness and just not knowing what it was until going through all this psychology shit and, getting a proper diagnosis, realizing what my childhood was like, and then going, oh shit, what are the implications of that? Yeah, I think it all goes back to that stuff. Like, it's so deep that it's not really necessarily any of this. It's just, child goes through thing, ways of coping form, puberty happens, solidifies them, not enough was, like, it wasn't realized in time, not enough has been done throughout my life to repair that. I am now in my late 30s. By the time you watch this video, I will have turned 38. It's too late for me to feel these things. Like, I do try and keep a window open, because I have heard that with, like, and I think I've even seen examples with some of these, like, traumas and, like, unhealthy coping mechanisms that turn into, like, personality disorders. If you have one really good, secure attachment that comes along, it can repair so much. I don't know if it's the case for schizoid, because that's not the case that the cases that I have seen, out and about in, like, my real life and, coming across different things. I don't know if it would work for schizoid, but I have to remain open to it because there's just not enough research. And I think schizoids are, like, some of the least likely to even give it a go. And even though, like, I've been so much more willing to give things a go compared to what I understand the average schizoid is willing to do. I'm odd like that. And maybe it's because I have a certain level of dissociation, but also the depression sucks. I really hate the depression part. Managing to stay stable, though, so if I stay stable, do I need to do all the, schizoid repair? Maybe not. Maybe I have figured it out until the next episode. But, yeah, no, like, having depression has made me want to work on more stuff and, not feel that crap. But even with me trying as hard as I have, been willing to do things, willing to go speed dating and whatever, when I did all that stuff, I did make, like, one friend from the speed dating. I just didn't make the relationship secure attachment. Like, I don't know if that's possible for me. Because, like, how would you even break through the shell of schizoid? I don't know. But yeah, even with me trying, it's just, like, I haven't been able to make a dent, and yeah, I just haven't seen it. So if I can't do it, maybe, like, I'm sure there's other schizoids, like, who've gotten part of the way there, because I know some end up getting married, and it has to be a very particular sort of relationship for them to be okay with it, or, like, I don't know. Does it really repair the schizoid part, though, or do they just say stay schizoid and married and the other person just has to cope with all the stuff? Like, I don't know. So I don't know if this can happen to me. When it comes to, like, how do I get interested? Sometimes I can show an interest in people, but it's more to do with, like, what they're doing or what I can learn from them. It's not, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think, is there anyone that I have been interested in just because of them? I think it's always pretty much to do with, like, what can I learn from this person and what they're doing? Or sometimes, like, they're very unusual, and the novelty is what I'm interested in. But it's hard to say, because often, like, the kinds of people that I would have that type of interest in turn out generally to be quite unhealthy people and not the kinds of people I want to actually hang out with. But there are some things that they're doing that I find interesting. So I sort of, like, keep tabs on them, but keep my distance. I've tried not to keep a distance, but when they turn out to be exactly the kinds of people I don't like, like the types of people that I wrote Deceiver about. I don't know. The trouble is, a lot of interesting people are super screwed up. Like, one of the actors that I used to find most interesting was Tom Cruise, because he's a fucking nutcase. I love him as a fucking nutcase. He's gonna die on camera one day doing a stunt. Like, it's just, I mean, he has incredible work ethic and all that. I'm like, how does one be that's passionate about what they're doing. Like it's like, you know, the way I'm talking about it, it starts to be more like a science experiment, like I'm an alien going like, how do these humans have all these emotions? And like actors are nuts because they can just bring up these emotions that I have never even experienced, and it's like super convincing. I'm just, how does that work? So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe when I get interested in people, it's more of like as a science experiment, like what are these people? What are these humans that I don't relate to at all? Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. I really need to get to bed. Oh my god. I'll just do a short video. I'll just answer this. I'll just say it's because I'm just uninterested, and then I go on a full fucking ramble. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And God knows when this will be up because life is super busy at the moment. Oh my god, I have left the house way too many times this week. I still have social engagements to go. And then next week is all puppy prep. I've got an art society meeting. I'm going to an art event. It's like the last event I can go to. And then my life is just puppy chaos. And hell knows what that's gonna be like. When will you see this video? Will it be September? Will it still be 2026? No one knows. I'm gonna go before I hurt myself. I haven't even made a video about like all the weird medical stuff that's happening at the moment. Bloody hell. Alright, well, that's all for now. Good fucking night.
Threat.
Oh yeah, we still got the threat there.
Threat.
Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna slide off my chair. Good night. Where's the stop button? Oh my god, there it is. This is awkward. Bye. Oh no, there